Hey guys, the human brain is one of the most amazing things in existence. It can make complex calculations, it can take strange and abstract thoughts and somehow make them into a reality. It can do damn near anything. Unfortunately, it also has this little tendency of making connections that aren't really there. As such, let's talk about the Pixar Theory. I love Pixar, as does everyone else in the world. They produce the kind of movies that you just want to watch over and over and over again, and because everyone wants to watch them over and over and over again, I suppose it was only a matter of time before someone watched them and wondered, hey, could all of Pixar's movies be taking place within the same universe and continuity? As far as fan theories go, this one is pretty fraught with flaws. And while I normally don't pay attention to such things, there seems to be too many people buying into it for me to just let this slide. If I have the chance to use my nitpicky powers for the greater good, then by God, I'm gonna do it. This is the Pixar Theory Debunked. The theory begins with the assertion that we see animals behaving like humans in several of Pixar's movies thanks to Princess Merida's mother magically turning into a bear in the movie Brave. And since we never see the mother interacting with any other animals, or any of that kind of magic spread elsewhere throughout this little patch of Scotland, this theory is immediately off to a good start by making absolutely no sense. How do the actions of a medieval Scottish bear queen influence modern French rats or Australian sea life, especially when she's made human again by the movie's end, and it's never established that magic even exists in these other movies? You want to know the real reason why we see animals acting like humans in Pixar's films? Because animators have been humanizing animals ever since Gertie the dinosaur. It is also theorized that since the witch from Brave also had a number of enchanted objects, this somehow led to a power struggle between humans, animals, and machines. The animals struggle with humans? Okay, that's pretty much a given, since that just happens in real life anyway. But the struggle between humans and machines is completely unfounded. Since the witch took all of her magical items with her when she disappeared from the movie, how do mystical items form a power struggle with humans when they aren't even there? It goes on to suggest that after Ratatouille's Chef Skinner was let out of the freezer and told everyone about the rats cooking in the kitchen, word of it got to Charles Muntz, the bad guy from Up, and the news of these intelligent rats is what inspired him to make the collars that would allow his army of dogs to talk. Yes, never mind how the idea of a bunch of rats cooking in a kitchen is so ridiculous that food critic Anton Ego lost his job and his credibility when he wrote about it. How do a bunch of modern Parisian rats influence a guy who's been lost in South America since the 1930s? Back to the struggle against humans and machines. Things apparently really started kicking off when Syndrome created a giant robot to defeat Mr. Incredible, which of course has nothing to do with the witch from Brave, since Syndrome was utilizing science, he worked in complete isolation, and his robot was destroyed before it could influence any other machines.
Eventually, the robot turns on its creator and tries killing innocent people randomly. Why would an AI robot do that? Do machines have an inherent hatred towards humans?
No, it's only following its programming, i.e. defending itself from whatever threats it can identify, and causing murder and mayhem so that Syndrome can protect the world from it. It's not the robot's fault that Syndrome made it smart enough to think that he might be a threat. The man versus machines idea attempts to bolster itself by pointing out that the toys from the Toy Story trilogy have feelings, and many are left embittered and angry after their owners give them up. While this is true, it kinda goes against the idea that machines naturally hate humans, since all toys begin with loving their humans. And what about the toys who aren't resentful when their owners stop playing with them? Let's also not forget that toys do have the power to get revenge on their masters. If being denied their playtime was really enough to feed this struggle between man and machine that this theory is trying to push, why wouldn't they turn on their humans more often? I mean, seriously, how difficult would it be for a toy to just kill his owner while he slept?
Oh, you don't like me anymore? Well, you're dead now. Yeah!
Not a whole lot of room for struggle here. Meanwhile, apparently the corporation By and Large from WALL-E is being run by the robots it created, despite there being no evidence supporting that claim, and they're getting their revenge on the humans by keeping them inactive. Yeah, just look at Mo keeping humanity down by obsessively cleaning up everything he can. He's a diabolical genius! Sorry theory, but like the Omnidroid from The Incredibles, all the robots from WALL-E are simply following their programming. It's the robots' jobs to keep the humans safe and happy, and that's all that we see them do in the movie. If the humans on board the Axiom don't want to get any exercise, that's their own fault.
Meanwhile, on Earth, machines are the only beings left to populate the planet. They follow human behavior and tradition, as seen in Cars, because that's what they learned from humans.
Oh god, are you seriously going to try to connect Cars to the rest of the Pixar movies? Why in God's holy name would we, as a species, ever create a line of cars that had tongues? And if Cars is supposed to be happening while the humans are out in space, where did all the garbage go? The Cars world looks remarkably clean for a place that's supposed to be so polluted that it forced all of humanity to jump ship.
Which brings us back to WALL-E. Why is WALL-E the only machine left on Earth? We know that the movie starts hundreds of years after humans have left the planet. It's WALL-E's fascination with human culture and a friendship with a living being, the cockroach, that kept him going. That's what made him special and sent him on a journey to liberate the humans. He remembers the time when humans and machines lived side by side happily.
No, the only thing that kept him going was his programming that allowed him to fix himself when need be. He didn't actually care about the humans. It would also seem that the plant that Eve recovered, which grows up into a large tree during the ending credits, is the same tree that we see in A Bug's Life. Except that the surrounding landscapes are completely different, and these two trees look nothing alike. At all. And since we see some contemporary references in A Bug's Life, do you really expect us to believe that this is happening 700 years in the future when WALL-E is taking place? I somehow doubt that Lion King the musical is still going to be playing for that long. And let's not forget about the Bugs Life toys that we see in the background of Toy Story 2. What, are we supposed to assume that these toy manufacturers from 1999 can see into the future, and none of them bothered telling anyone about the destruction of Earth brought on by and Large? I think that would be a better use of their powers than making a line of toys that no one will understand. But if you think that this theory can't possibly grasp for any more straws out of desperation, take a look at this.
Humans, machines, and animals start repopulating the planet in harmony to the point that a new species is born: monsters. The monsters universe is actually Earth in the very far future. Where did monsters come from? Maybe mutations of animals after hundreds of years on a diseased planet.
Yeah, remember that optimistic ending for WALL-E, where all the humans come back to Earth and everything starts becoming green and beautiful again? Yeah, it turns out that didn't happen. Actually, the Earth was so poisonous that all of the human race just died out, and every animal on Earth eventually evolved into the horrible mutations that are the monsters. Oh, and you know those doors that they use in Monsters, Inc. to travel into children's bedrooms to collect their screams to be used as a power source? The movie never addresses them as such, but it's pretty obvious that these doors are simply a gateway into our dimension, while the monsters live in a completely different universe. However, the Pixar theory wants us to think that these aren't dimensional gates, but gates into Earth's distant past where humans are still alive. But if the monster world is actually Earth's distant future, why would the monsters need to rely on Scream as an energy source? Apparently, the scientists working for and Large were able to figure out a perfectly sustainable energy source powerful enough to maintain the lives of God knows how many humans and an army of robots to keep them perfectly comfortable for several centuries. What happened to this amazing energy that would force the monsters to resort to Scream energy? Also, it's pretty obvious that the doors that the monsters use to visit the children are not doorways through time. When we're first introduced to the concept of the monsters harvesting Scream, we see them going through several doors scattered throughout the eastern seaboard. Clearly, this particular scare floor begins its workday in the United States, and works its way around the world into the next time zone every hour. If the monsters were traveling into the past, why would they need to focus on individual time zones all throughout the world? Why couldn't they just focus on scaring the same group of kids at the exact same time over and over again? The monsters could be collecting tons of collective Scream every day for years at a time, but to the kids, it would only be the one scare just that once. Not to mention, if they were utilizing time travel, they wouldn't need to worry about the kids that they're scaring becoming desensitized to them, and they wouldn't need to destroy any of their doors as a result. If they scare the same kids only once at the exact same time over and over again, they can't get desensitized if it only registers to them as just the one scare, can they? And now we come to the grand finale, and the biggest flaw in the Pixar theory. Prepare for head scratching in 3, 2, 1!
This would have been the end if it wasn't for Boo, the little girl in Monsters, Inc. who slipped into the futuristic world of the monsters and found a friend there. After going back to her world, she kept trying to find a way to see Sully again, and became a witch. Yes, Boo is the witch from Brave. She figured out how to travel through time and goes back to what she thinks is the source of it. The will of the wisps. The magic that started this whole thing.
Oh yeah. That incredibly sweet ending at the end of Monsters Incorporated where Mike rebuilds Boo's door, Sully finally gets to go back and see Boo whenever he wants, and the entire audience around the world cries their eyes out. Yeah, it turns out that actually didn't happen. In reality, Sully never saw Boo again. Boo goes hopelessly insane and obsesses over something that she shouldn't logically be able to remember. She studies the dark arts, becomes a witch, travels back into the past when she's actually trying to visit the future, and in doing so, she dooms the entire human race to extinction. The Pixar Theory, ladies and gentlemen! I mean, there are crazy conspiracy theories, and then there's this. It's one thing to think of plot points or character traits that a story may not especially talk about in its own narrative, but the leaps in logic for this thing are just ridiculous. Sequels and prequels aside, all of Pixar's movies are separate little entities that have nothing to do with each other. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. The Pixar movies actually are linked to each other. How? John Ratzenberger plays a part in all of them. That's it.
Hey, I hate to break up the road rally, guys, but they're here! Birthday guests at 3 o'clock! Welcome to the Himalayas! Snow cone? These are the lousiest circus cars in the world, and they're gonna make me rich! Wait a minute here. They're just using the same actor over and over. What kind of a cut-rate production is this?
So yeah, I hate to burst your bubble if you thought that this Pixar theory might have been legit, but it just doesn't work. If you're the kind of guy who likes putting puzzles together, that's great. You go ahead and do that, but just make sure that the puzzle pieces are actually there before you start putting them together. See you next time.
You got a friend in me.
You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed,
You just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you got a friend in me.
yeah, you got a friend in me.
Some of the folks might be a little bit smarter than I am.
Bigger, stronger too,
Maybe.
but none of them will ever love you the way I do.
It's me and you, boy. And as the years go by,
Our friendship will never die.
you're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me.
You've got a friend in me.
Yeah, you got a friend in me.
Subscribe.